For decades, Nigeria's economic map told a familiar story. Lagos, the nerve center; Abuja, the seat of power; Port Harcourt, the oil gateway. And far away from this, the South is resilient, relentless, productive, yet persistently sidelined. This region, home to one of Africa's most entrepreneurial population, produced traders, builders, industrialists, and innovators whose fingerprints are visible across Nigeria and far beyond its borders. Yet, for years, the same question echoed quietly in policy rooms and public conversations. Why do so many Igbo businessmen succeed everywhere, yet hesitate to build at home? The answer were complex. Infrastructure deficits, energy shortages, policy uncertainty, security concerns. But while many chose caution, others chose conviction. They returned, not with speeches, not with slogans, but with factories, hotels, logistics, hubs, technology plants, and industrial cities. This is not a story of wealth alone. It is a story of economic loyalty, of men who believed that development does not begin with government, it begins with decision. This is the story of Igbo businessmen who expanded their empires back to the southeast. To understand why these men returned, one must first understand how Igbo wealth is created. The Igbo apprenticeship system, Igbo Boy, is not written into law books, yet it has built more millionaires per capita than any formal institution in Nigeria. A young boy is trained, he learns trade, he is settled, and then he must replicate the circle. But there is an unspoken rule within the system. Wealth that does not uplift the homeland is incomplete. Among the Igbo, success is measured not only by personal comfort, but by communal impact. A man may own skyscrapers in Lagos, but until he builds something tangible at home, his success remains unfinished. This belief, Akurulo, wealth must reach home, has quietly shaped investment decisions for decades. It is why factories rise in towns with bad roads, why hotels are built where leisure was once unthinkable, while logistic hubs appear far from seaports. It is not sentiment, it is strategy rooted in identity. In the industrial town of Nnewi, Anambra State, a quiet revolution took shape. Not led by government, not funded by foreign capital, but driven by one man's refusal to accept dependency. Innoson Chukoma, founder of Innoson Group, did something few believed possible. He manufactured, not assembled, not imported, manufactured. Vehicles, plastics, motorcycles, built on Nigerian soil by Nigerian hands in the southeast. At a time when industrial policy favored importation, Innoson chose local production. Why Nnewi? Why not Lagos? Because Nnewi already had what mattered most: skills, entrepreneurial culture, and a deep industrial instinct. Innoson factories did more than produce vehicles. They ignited confidence. Suddenly, manufacturing in the southeast was no longer a theory, it was a reality. Cosmos Particle's journey began humbly, from spare parts trading to one of Nigeria's most diversified conglomerates. His rise mirrored the Igbo economic path, but unlike many who consolidate success in one city, Koscharis expanded deliberately into the southeast, automotive industry, agro-processing, and manufacturing. These were not symbolic investments. They were operational, employment-generating, and technically demanding ventures. For Maduka, decentralizing industry was not charity, it was sustainability. An economy that depends on one city is fragile. An economy that spreads production is resilient. In Ebonyi State, where industrial neglect lingered for decades, cement dust once threw the game into the air. Dr. Clayton Sibetu saw opportunity where others saw abandonment. Cement is not glamorous, but it is foundational. By investing in cement production and petrochemicals in Southeast, Ibeto addressed something critical: economic sovereignty. Every bag of cement produced locally reduced dependency. Every factory revived expanded the industrial footprint of the region. This was not just business, it was infrastructure strategy. In Anambra State, a city within a city began to emerge. Stanel world was not incremental, it was bold. Fuel, retail, real estate, agriculture, built at scale many believed impossible in the Southeast. No government subsidy, no special intervention, just vision and execution. Stanel World challenged a dangerous narrative that large-scale development cannot thrive in Eastern Nigeria. They can, and they do. For decades, leisure investment avoided the Southeast. Security fears, low confidence, poor perception. Paul Onwanibe challenged all of that. Landmark Resort in Enugu, formerly known as Nike Lake, was not just a hotel, it was a statement. Tourism creates jobs, hospitality attracts capital, leisure challenges narratives. By building a world-class hospitality infrastructure, Landmark reshaped how the region is seen and how it sees itself. No economy grows without movement. Factories mean nothing if goods cannot move efficiently. Enviable logistics enter the Southeast not as an afterthought, but as a strategy. Transport corridors, regional distribution, logistic efficiency. This investment reduced the region's dependence on Lagos-centric supply chains and quietly positioned the Southeast for its future role as a trade hub. Technology is often tied to urban clusters, but Xenox broke that assumption. By establishing ICT manufacturing and technology operations in Aba and Owerri, Leo Staneke demonstrated that innovation does not require Lagos postcodes. It requires vision and commitment. Aba does not shout. It produces thousands of factories, leather, garments, plastics, footwears, men whose names never trend online, yet whose output clothes nations. This is organic industrialization, unfunded, uncelebrated, and unstoppable. Power shortages, road failures, security risk, policy inconsistency. These men faced them all, yet they stayed, because building at home is not about ease, it is about legacy. The Southeast may not command political dominance, but it commands something more enduring. Men who build without applause, who invest without guarantees, who believe development begins at home. They are not waiting for permission, they are already building the future. If this story inspired you, like, share, subscribe to 1010 Media, because African stories deserve African voices.